Yes, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode with your boys, the Papertrails podcast at Inspyre, and I'm your host Sharmarke. Today I have a very special guest with me, young blood star boy. We've got Khalid here today. Big round of applause. Now, obviously Khalid, as this is coming out a lot later, so now we have definitely have already done our show by the time everybody kind of sees this.
Yeah.
But we were in a show together.
Yeah.
Called I Remember by Mountain Theatre. And in this episode today, it's going to be a very interesting and nuanced episode, right? It's a creative podcast, but it's also we're trying to have a bit of a discussion about creativity and, because this is what this podcast is for, is people that are trying to make it in the creative world, but also trying to balance their daily lives as well with it. And I feel like it would be a good interesting topic to discuss ourselves, because we're on two different spectrums of, I guess, when they say like the 20s is the time to make it and to do all of the stuff and like to make all the risks and all that kind of, they usually say you should do it around your 20s, and I feel like, you're 17, you're young, so you're going to be coming into your 20s, and me, unfortunately, I'm on my way out.
Almost there.
Almost there.
Almost
Not
there.
there. Still got a few more, but basically on the way out. And our kind of perspectives on still trying to make it in the creative pursuit by trying to be professionals, really, in this field, and seeing how it is from our different, I guess, places and stages in life. So how's that sound for you?
That is, you know what? I'm down for the 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all good. Hey, you can loosen up a little bit. Hey, I get the lights sometimes can be a bit intimidating.
Yeah, you know what? I
but
feel like I need to loosen up.
But you pulled off an Oscar, I should say, performance.
Oscar in it, yeah.
Oscar-worthy performance. But yeah, so like I was saying, we did a show together called I Remember by Mountain Theatre, written by Mukhtar. And it was kind of about, I guess it was somewhat memoir, as that's what they were describing as, of like kind of his journey and the whole experience of going from your home and then in your home country and civil war happening in Somalia and then having to leave, going to the refugee camp and all this kind of stuff. And I was playing a phenomenal refugee. I was
fantastic
wearing the ma'awis, everything. I was in my element. And he was playing the son.
Yeah.
And after the first performance, a guy stood up and he was like, Khalid did so well. Apparently you were cried as well.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You know what?
Shed a few tears.
Bruv, you know what it is? You know when you're in the moment?
Yeah.
You're in the moment and everything, and then you just start you're not even thinking.
Yeah.
You're just doing it.
You were Liban, you were the kid.
Yeah, so then after Layla told me, Khalid, you were crying. And I was like, no, it wasn't. I didn't believe it.
Okay.
It's like, you were crying and it made me cry as well. So we bounced off each other like
so
that.
You didn't even know at that time that you just was in your element.
I was in the zone. I was out of it.
Yeah.
I was an autopilot basically.
Wow. Okay. See, that's what I'm saying. This guy here, ladies and gentlemen, he's going places. It's wild. He's going places. And of course, we during the the rehearsals and all that kind of stuff, we saw glimpses of your work and the stuff that you're kind of into. So let the audience kind of know just a bit more about who you are, the stuff that you do, and then also as well kind of how you got I guess not the opportunity to basically be in that show.
Okay, so basically, I come from Slough first of all, which is the best town
Goodness.
in the UK, and
it's next to Windsor, no?
Yeah, next is the complete opposite. What you'll see, it's right next to Windsor.
Yeah,
and you could say it's the complete opposite in how it looks.
Yeah, because that's the only thing that saves Slough.
Yeah.
The rest of it is
because you just go from Slough train station to get to Windsor. So you have to go that way.
You have to go through.
But yeah, so I came from Slough, and over there, I've always been a creative person.
Yeah.
Ever since young, I've been always wanting to do something, wanting to create something, no matter what it was.
Yeah.
it's kind of just always been driven with wanting to be someone and like wanting to, you know, kind of hold onto something like a legacy in a
Yeah.
sense. So it's not even in a sense of like I just want to build something for my family as well. That's the most important part, is working hard for my family and trying different things and see what sticks and what lands. So
Yeah.
me creating little short videos with my friends when I was younger
Yeah.
has led me to what I'm doing now, which
Yeah.
is creating films, like short films,
Yeah.
and acting in them, directing and writing, and even a little bit of music. So I managed to get, this will sound really random, I managed to get 1 million streams on Spotify or like just on Apple Music and stuff like that globally,
Oh, right.
independently,
Yeah.
which was really random because I didn't want to take music seriously.
Yeah. Yeah.
For a while, I did, but I realized, you know what? When it comes to music,
Yeah.
you can kind of, what's the word? You can kind of basically kind of slip off of it. Like
Yeah.
it's not a career to kind of pursue without a plan B.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna leave that, and then I'm
Yeah.
gonna kind of try, you know, making films a little bit more, which I has stuck on, and
Yeah.
I don't think I'm ever gonna change that. So yeah, and then that's led me to just making connections with people within the industry,
Yeah.
big or small, and trying to ask for like opportunities and seeing what's there. And then I managed to catch Mukhtar's casting call for I remember, or just it wasn't even called I remember at that point, it was
Yeah.
just as a casting call,
Yeah.
and from Side Eye Productions. And I just said, you know what, I'm gonna put my head first, and you know what, I'm terrified on being on stage.
Yeah.
I hate it. I prefer being behind the camera.
Yeah.
But if you're scared of something, I learned this from a very cool musician named Bashi. If you're scared of something, you put your head first and you just fall into it and seeing how it goes. So that's what I did, and I managed to. Here we are now.
Here we are now. Now you're in
Coming
the big
from this.
leagues. I'm joking. No, but you know what? That's I think a lot of that is quite interesting. I think on many terms, firstly, the fact that you're trying to get into the creative pursuit to help our families, which I feel like in our culture is a very different thing to say, because in our families, I guess maybe right now, maybe in a few generations they'll probably get it, but like they still see the creative arts as like they still need a plan B. Like,
Yeah.
what's the? I get this is a good thing that you and it's your passion and you enjoy it and you know all that kind of stuff. But what are you actually going to be doing? You know, I feel like that's always the kind of overbearing question. I feel like because even for me, if we kind of touch on that just a little bit, but it's like I think for so long my parents have also kind of been like, okay, I get you like this creative stuff, but like, where's your actual career now?
Yeah.
You know, I feel like it's easier, and this is the kind of the topics that we're gonna have. I feel like it's easier to do it when you're kind of younger, in your early 20s, kind of, you know, and they still don't really know what's going on. But I feel like it gets to the point when you're kind of your later 20s where eventually they'll be like, okay, now you've got to
Have something.
yeah. Otherwise, this has got to stop. You know what I mean? Which I find kind of interesting how you've kind of done that. Do you feel like you've given yourself a somewhat plan to kind of try get it professionally, or do you feel like you're kind of somewhat already there now?
I would say, in a sense, like I kind of take inspiration from the people that I either like research about or just know in a sense as well, because it could be, if I want to take it like filmmaking, if I want to take it seriously, there's two routes I can kind of go in. I'm gonna go all out and see what sticks, and if I get chosen for something, or I can go the professional and study, learn to that, which I'm planning on doing as well. I'd love to go to uni and learn filmmaking, and then hopefully go to another. I want to get an MA as well. So that's what I'm trying to do. So it's just like, it's two routes. And being young, which is, like I said, alhamdulillah, I caught on what I wanted to do at a young age, which is, I wouldn't say a lot of people don't really, like a lot of my friends still at this point struggle with knowing what they want to do, which is, I try to push them as much as possible to, you know, what can you do? What
try
can you kind of
that
just
out,
push yourself to? But yeah, I managed to find what I wanted to do, which is filmmaking. And it's kind of, it's working. It's working, but
no, mashallah.
struggle. It's a struggle. very hard and difficult, but that's the best part about it. It's the process that kind of, sticks at the end of the day.
Yeah. And when you were younger, when you're trying to get into the whole creative, who was your like inspirations?
My inspirations for the stuff that I do were my parents. Like I say, my parents first of all. So my parents and my siblings have always just kind of let me be creative or just freeing in a sense. So I can say, alhamdulillah, I came from a family that never said no to like my creative ventures, which is very important because not that much people. That's why I say I'm very grateful for that because my dad is creative. My mom is creative in a way as well. Everyone, my whole family is. And then me kind of pursuing it professionally I was kind of scared in a sense because you said you always have a plan B. You always have to have a plan B. But I feel like with me, as much as I'm terrified of it, I'm very confident in myself. So I don't believe I should have a plan B. They may come off as controversial, but I believe in myself so much that I know what I'm doing and the route I'm gonna get. That I don't need a plan B because I know where my head is. I know what the hunger I have to make it and be creative and still have a platform to do that later on in my future. So, I'm not gonna stop at all.
No, of course, as much as I believe in the confidence, as you should. I feel like as a creative, you've got to really have confidence. You gotta have a level of confidence about yourself that sometimes maybe even makes people a bit uncomfortable. That makes people go a bit like, I don't know if you can. But then that's the only way that you'll be able to push through those barriers to actually do it. And a lot of it is going to be quite lonely and daunting, and you doubt yourself and you go through those phases and stuff like that. But what I feel like, because I guess now as an older guy, it's funny. Usually I don't usually sit in the position of the elder
man, like
the
uncle telling telling the nephew.
But I feel like to completely go without a plan B wouldn't be the best move. Now, what I feel like is now you have done definitely a lot more than I would say a lot of 17-year-olds have done in your position, i.e. you're already making the stuff, you've already got that on-hands experience, you already put your name out there, you're already like doing stuff like that. Whereas when I was like 17, I only had the visions and ideas of it, but I was too self-conscious about putting stuff out there, and I was very much held back by like, oh, this isn't good enough, and held back by perfection and all this kind of stuff, which delayed, I guess, me putting stuff out there. But now that I've, I guess, come into the age that I am now, which is 27, I feel like I haven't mentioned that before.
You don't look 27, by the way. You don't look 27.
I appreciate it. It's all the serums that I put on. Yeah. But no, so now I get into the age that I am now, like I would definitely say you can find many ways of being able to continue the creative pursuits, but also having a plan B. The internet has allowed us to be able to do that now. Before, the reason why you would go to film schools and all these other kind of things is because you didn't have the knowledge. You didn't have YouTube then. Yeah. And then there you meet, and it's good for the networking. It's good to meet people there and all these kind of other stuff there. But I feel like for you personally, you could learn so much more just off the internet. Yeah. Without necessarily having to go to uni for that. But also building something else on the side, if that makes sense. Like, I think it's just more, as you were saying, I guess it was more of a realization of myself, because I feel like for me, I have put a lot of it, or a lot of myself into, I guess, creative pursuits. Yeah. And in a way that was a bit half-hearted, because it wasn't like a full-on commitment. I guess the last maybe couple of years, I was probably fully committed. Before that, I wasn't really fully. So what I'm saying is like, unless you have the same level of motivation you have now, then you'll reap the rewards. But I feel like you should also have something else just on the side. Like, you could learn a side hustle.
Yeah, I've always considered that.
But I feel like just this on Inspyre, and as a creative thing, I feel like this is very anti what we're on. But I feel like, I guess the wise thing is that you can still continue your pursuits, but also have a plan B. I sound like now I think I kind of get what the elders meant, but they were kind of more like, don't do that entirely. You know, just get the job first. Yeah, get the job first, and then if you want to paint on your Sunday afternoons, go for it. You know, but it's like, no, painting is what I want to do. You know, they didn't kind of get that part, but yeah, I feel like, because I think similar to what you were saying about the sort of the music thing not being something I could maintain, I guess, similarly with the creative arts, it's not really something that's so solidified, exactly. And I feel like maybe until it gets fully solidified, to be putting like maybe 60-40% on other things, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I get that 100%. I feel like with plan Bs, they always come with consequences as well.
Yeah.
They come with consequences because having a plan B is knowing, okay, cool, you kind of have to lean into that now a bit as well.
Yeah.
So you kind of take away a bit of time from what you're actually doing. So I feel like with me, having 100% in a plan A is knowing, all right, cool, there is always backup plans. Even if I don't want one, there is going to be a plan B.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I would do it as if I'm on a jet and I'm about to, like, my things failed, the jets failed, and then okay, I get to evacuate. Okay, then I go do it.
Then you go do it.
I know I know where I'm flying to, my destination is, and I'm gonna make sure I get that 100%. And do that 100% no matter what. It's difficult. But yeah, plan Bs are always they're a necessity. But I'm, like you said, I'm a bit anti in the plan Bs and stuff. But
No, I mean, I think the main thing was I was just worried the way you were saying it was just fully nothing. Like, I mean, but don't get me wrong, that's how like every story starts, you know. It's a guy that just goes, you know, that's it, I'm putting everything 100% in. And I feel like at this age you have the ability to do that. I just think the longer, I guess, sometimes something gets delayed, the more other responsibilities kind of come in, the more problems it starts to bottleneck, you know. And I'm just, I guess, thinking from a much later date. I feel like for the next 4 or 5 years, you're chilling to basically do whatever the hell you want at full throttle. But then with that, also, do you feel like there is a sense of pressure that comes with that?
Yeah, there is. There's always going to be pressure as well, especially because, like I said, I do all of this for my family as well. And that pressure of time, because time is the most valuable thing. I always believe time is like the most important thing in the world, and not like I've lost people in the past, like family members I've lost that even younger than me. So I lost my cousin, and that's what's kind of inspired me to literally don't waste time. Like, it was like a lesson in a sense, losing him as well, which was messed me up, but what I got out of it was you don't have time, you can go like that. So instead of
like
just
that's all over,
being like, I grew up really quickly, even younger than that, but I didn't have that, I'll just do it later. Like, there's always tomorrow. But after that, losing him, it was like, there is no tomorrow. You have to do what you can in the day you are here, because tomorrow you might not wake
just
up.
Go like that.
Exactly. So time is so important, and that's what motivated me to do, like, create like short films, take it seriously in a sense, like do it as a career. Because before it was always like I didn't know what I wanted to be. But after all of that, it came with like I said, pressure. Pressure of obviously failing. And not being able to show your family what you can do in the time you are here. Because I can do this podcast right now and then go home tomorrow and not wake up. But I try to make sure each day I do something that leaves a mark. That's what it is, basically.
And how old was your cousin?
He was 15,
if you're good
15,
to
16 years old. And it just like it messed me up in a sense of, because we didn't talk as much like towards the end. But as kids, I have so many fond memories of him. So many, like, we get told we were like the two peas in a pod, basically.
Yeah.
Always like, because we were around the same age.
Yeah.
There was like only a few months difference between us.
Okay.
And we'd like mess around however long we were there. But then obviously growing up, we didn't see each other as much. But I always had a thought of like, oh, I'm going to go see him soon eventually. And us losing him as a majority, as a family, was heartbreaking, first of all. And what hurt the most was time. Like I said, I had imagined him getting married, like joking around with him at his wedding, and then now knowing that he or us, we won't be able to celebrate that, hurts. But that's why it kind of scares me. Time is very scary, but that's why we're here. We're here to die at the end of the day.
No, that's a serious reflection. That especially to lose somebody so close to you in age, I guess it's also because it happens young. Yeah, it's like there's a lot of potential of that person that that you won't basically see.
And like at some points as well, I felt guilty in a sense as well. Like I didn't do much. Like I didn't do much at all. Like I was like, I'd mess around. I literally mess around with my friends. Call it a day. Like go home. That's it. But after that, I'd feel guilty because he was a smart kid. Very smart kid, and I think he knew what he was doing, what he wanted to do with his life as well. And to think that someone like that was taken away from his family as well, his close ones as well, his mum and dad, it's upsetting because he had potential. And I'm doing something that was the complete opposite. I was messing around in school and stuff like that. And then it kind of just gave me a wake-up call, like, yo, you've just lost someone close to you in your family, and you're going to act like that. I was like, nah, I can't do that anymore. So I managed to, I'm going to get up and I'm going to try and fulfill every day. And alhamdulillah, it's a blessing and a curse as well, because if it wasn't for that wake-up call, I wouldn't be having this conversation with you right now. Literally everything I've done so far in the past 2-ish years was because of that.
And I think that's, like you said, I think you described it, I guess, the best way, in a way, because it's like a blessing and a curse. The curse obviously is the fact of having to deal with it kind of every day, and I guess everything that you might kind of achieve, everything you might kind of do in life, to then kind of also remember him and be like, oh, you would have probably been doing this, and then it's an interesting one. The reason why it's also an interesting one, it kind of reminds me of something I was reading quite a while back, which I guess isn't as heavy as that, which really is. But it was kind of I forgot who it was, but he was talking about like the death of self. So the future and all of the stuff that you had envisioned and all the stuff that you had planned for yourself as a kid, and then having it like as a light that projects, and then eventually so many things will come in the way of it until it slowly dies, and then if you were to look back at it, you wouldn't remember who you were then when you had all those dreams, because now you're a lot older and your whole life is completely different now. You have a new set of goals and responsibilities, and I guess it's kind of like that. I guess kind of for you, in a way, it was kind of bringing you into manhood, I guess. Like the child Khalid, I guess, in many ways was no longer there. It was just kind of this now pursuit of creativity. And do you feel like because of that, do you feel like it will come with the setbacks of, let's say, if you don't make it now?
Yeah, because that's important.
Do you think like that would hurt you just as much?
Yeah, failing won't, I don't think it can ever be in my, but failing in processes will obviously happen. But failing as majority, I don't think I will ever let that happen to myself, because having that motivation and push and drive from everyone around me as well, that has, like, my siblings, my sisters as well, my brother, all just being there for me is the most important thing. But failing, I can never do, because I have so many plans. Like my one dream in life is to be in a history book one day, not for something like major, but just being someone, like, no matter what, if it's filmmaking, I want to make sure I can do something, and one day when I'm not here anymore, in 100 years or something, even if they don't have books, have like teleportation
a reference point that you were here.
there's just something
Yeah.
that just is there.
Yeah.
Even if they skip past, just me knowing I solidified myself as something in this world is important to me.
Yeah.
Which is kind of, I had one of my close cousins, Nagib. He basically said to me, "But does it really matter? Because when you're gone, you're gone." And he made me deep it. Like, yeah, I get it, but all of it is because, you know, even when I'm not here, I want to make sure I can provide and support,
Yeah.
whether if it's my family or just people in general, something, a little something to, like, even if I'm not here.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's really important to do, no matter what kind of situation you're in, especially.
Essentially leaving that legacy.
Yeah.
Something to be remembered by. Something to. I feel like that's quite interesting because I remember in school, like when we were doing history and all that kind of stuff, and we would be reading about all these other kind of people and whatnot. I'd be like, wow, that's so interesting, because I guess even if you, like, let's say this is a little tangent, but if you look at like the Napoleonic Wars and all this other kind of stuff, you remember the generals that were doing it, and you remember those kind of specific people, but you don't remember like the foot soldiers or the guy that was moving the cannons along, or the one that was part of the scouts that probably suggested, oh, this is a good area before the general took it back to Napoleon or something. Like you won't hear about them, you won't see about them. I was thinking, how many people have just gone through the, wisps of time without just being known,
mentioned,
and mentioned and stuff like that. And I feel like that's also kind of been, I guess, a strange burning desire, or is well for me, to kind of, I guess, leave that mark. And I feel like that's what it should be. I feel like when it comes to creativity, when it comes to art, when it comes to all of this stuff, the good stuff is the stuff that makes you kind of think about yourself.
Yeah.
That makes you feel like you're that person, or you walk out of a cinema, for example, and you feel like the main character, even if the main character might not be a good person, but it's moved you in such a way that you felt like you've embodied that person for that short period of time, and then eventually you go back to your normal self and whatnot. But that's what it is. I feel like good art is something that a kid picks up and goes, you know what, like, yeah, this is a good way of actually, viewing the world. And I feel like sometimes the definition of I want to change the world is very generic.
Yeah.
And this is probably how I defined it. People might be thinking it in a different way. But changing the world isn't necessarily sometimes about getting people to think exactly the way you think.
Yeah.
But necessarily getting them to think of the world differently, even if it's a small part.
A little hint of
change. Even if it's like, okay, like right now what you've said about how quickly time can go, how quickly you can lose somebody, has made me think, okay, how many people do I have in my life that I feel like I've always said, oh, later on in our lives we'll connect more. Right now we're just busy, that I should actually be connected more with now. Whether it's parents, whether it's friends, whether it's all of that. So then if you were to embody that in maybe a painting, a photo, I don't know, a film or something like that, and it makes me go, you know what, I should actually, at the end of it, pick up the phone and call somebody.
Like text them like, yo,
yeah,
what you doing? What you been up to?
Yeah, you've made a mark. That's the definition of, I guess, leaving a legacy. But now it's a bit, how do you make that grander? But let's go back to your family, because you spoke about them a lot and how much you want to do it for them. And tell me more about them. Do they fully support them? Because we saw your family at the show, and they were clapping for you, whooping, everything. They were really supportive.
Yeah.
Do you feel like they give you that to push you forward, and how do they give you that?
You know what it is? It kind of goes back to what I was saying before, as well as just me being this like creative, crazy kid. Even at a young age, I was always like, my mom used to call me drama queen. I was the drama queen of the house, because I'd always be over dramatic even as like a little toddler. Basically, I'd hear like little stories of myself. So I think they just always kind of grew up. I kind of grew up, and they kind of noticed me growing up.
Yeah.
As okay, this guy's gonna do something that's out of the ordinary. Out of the ordinary.
The different one. This
Yeah,
one.
yeah, exactly. I was the black sheep of the house,
Yeah.
basically. But yeah, I kind of their motivation and what my parents went through at even a young age
Yeah.
has always inspired me to, one day I want to be able to smile and show them that, look what I've created.
Yeah.
Look what I've built for you guys. Like this,
Yeah.
this foundation that we don't have to ever worry about certain things
Yeah.
ever again. And that's what I do what I do.
Yeah.
So I never have to have, even for a few like hours or minutes in a day, not having to have that kind of conversation of like what we need to kind of sacrifice and struggle over.
And struggles,
Yeah, my parents are a blessing, even though me and my mom, my mom's like a teenager, so me and my mom argue a lot.
Yeah.
But in like the funniest ways, when I go back and think about it, it's like she's just like me.
Yeah.
So I'm literally just like as if I'm talking to a mirror. Like I would literally react the same way if someone was telling me the same thing. So, yeah. I love them so much. I love my Hoyo. I love my dad. All of them.
Yeah, that's beautiful, and I feel sometimes, I think envious is a bad word, but I feel like I'll be like. I guess I had support definitely from my family. Like they all like the stuff that I'm doing and all this other kind of stuff. But I feel like in terms of like pushing it forward, it's not necessarily the same. I feel like it comes back to the idea of just that thing of like, if nothing has been kind of been done before, nobody kind of understands what it is. And it was it was a talk that I was having with Mukhtar, actually, the director of the show. And it was just kind of like, even for when it came to the promotions and all that kind of stuff for our play, and people initially, when the casting call came out, they were a bit skeptical of it. What is it? All this kind of stuff. And then now that they've seen, oh, this was actually a play, people liked it, people went. So the next time something comes out like this, more people want to kind of do it. Because there's this now tangible thing. You know, I could describe 60 years to you what a table is, but then when you see it and its functionality, this thing. So I feel like my family's pretty much, I feel like I would have to show them that first.
Yeah, you have to show them the concrete
solidified something, rather than just a set of like, oh, but it'll be this idea and it's gonna look like that. They'd be like, yeah, I guess I feel like it's only me that has pursued the creative pursuit in my family, that is kind of like an understanding, but it's not like I don't see the whole bigger picture, like how it hasn't left the hobby mark yet. It hasn't become like, oh, okay, this could be a professional thing. So I feel like the fact that, you know, you've got that and you had your parents coming down and all this other kind of stuff is definitely the groundworks that will allow you to keep motivated. Yeah. But obviously with motivation comes burnout.
Yeah, oh my,
bloody burnout.
The amount of times I've literally like said to myself, I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
I don't.
You know, yeah, of course.
I don't want to do this anymore.
It's the standard, it's the rite of passage that comes, I guess, with anyone doing a creative pursuit, that burnout. And that's what I wanted to ask you about, which is obviously you're putting stuff on Instagram. Are you putting stuff on TikTok as well?
I don't really like TikTok.
Nah,
I don't know what it is. TikTok's a bit for me. I think it's because it's filmmaking.
Yeah,
you want to come off as more professional and like filmmaking industry.
You gotta throw that to the wayside for now.
You need to push that.
Yeah,
maybe later on when I'm I'm solidified.
Yeah,
but right now I kind of have to build like a name. I wouldn't say it's mysteriously. I have to make a name for myself. The amount of stuff I post on my story, that's just random. I can do that.
Yeah,
because it's just part of character. But having said that, we were talking about burnout, right?
Yeah.
The amount of times I've woken up and said, I can't be asked for this is more than I've said, all right, let's do this.
It. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's the complete opposite of what I should. But with burnouts, it's what it is. It's like, I feel like it's always important to kind of just make sure to take care of yourself no matter what. Yeah. So when you feel like, okay, no, I don't want, this is too much now.
Yeah.
Take a mini pause. And even if you can't, you can. People will say you can't. I can't pause this. I can't do that.
Yeah.
even if it's half an hour.
What would you say is the mini pause for you?
Mine is
What's your routine? Let's hear it. 'Cause mine, I don't know if it's a good one or not.
mine is just it's a very odd routine. I feel like I'm gonna get judged for this. But you know what? I'll say it. So my burnout routine is right. Okay, cool. I would work. I tend to write a lot at night.
Yeah.
My ideas, like a lot of thoughts, just come out at night. So
Yeah.
I tend to write ideas and stories and create them. Now, the thing is with me, I get overexcited.
Yeah.
Like, oh, this is the best thing in the world. Now I wanna completely go out and do this. So I would call up the people that I would involve the project with this next day. So it'd be my friends, my team called Collective Core. So like Miles and Theo, I'm like, yo, let's do this. I wanna make something, and they all got ideas as well.
Yeah.
And if they're busy, I'm like, it's okay because everyone's got their own things.
Yeah.
So I try to take the least busiest people I know the next day after I finish the script. I'm like, hey guys, I want to give you this idea. Let's do this. And then they're up for it. So that's how I started this film I'm making right now called Fever Dream.
Yeah.
It was just a script. And then the next day I'm like, I want to do everything.
Yeah.
So I managed to, I got a group of people. And now, let's just say, I realized too late.
Yeah.
Wait, no, this is too much now.
Oh,
okay, I got too excited. And now it's like, and they're like, yo, let's do it. Let's do it. Then we're like, all right, cool. So basically, let's start. Wait, no, I can't do that now. I need to start getting the material for it, like all the equipment. And when it starts starting, we're like, and then we started filming stuff. And I feel like the worst part is editing. So what caused me that it was like a scene that we filmed so far for Fever Dream. Filming it was like the best thing. I was so happy. And it was a very good experience, and just everyone that was there. Now it was the editing. Just for a 2-minute scene, I struggled for a month.
Okay.
Just to edit a 2-minute scene.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, cool. I filmed all of this. How do I make it look good now? Editing. So just cutting certain scenes, just like, no, I can't.
Was it because it wasn't hitting, or were you missing stuff, or what was the?
It was, in a sense, I say both, but like the hint of missing stuff, but everything was kind of there.
Yeah.
It was just, now, how do I
actually now make this thing
make it sense, make it make sense? And I'd struggle. I'd get like annoyed by the fact that this isn't going the way I wanted it to go. So I would just leave it. Yeah. And then people close to me be like, Khalid, just, you can just kind of leave it. Yeah. Just leave it because you're stressing too much now. Like, I'd crash out. Like, why isn't it not going the way I want it to go? Like, it's just here. It's just one thing. then they say, like, just leave it. And then I don't really like taking people's advice as much. I feel like I give advice, but I don't really take my own advice. So I would say exact same thing that the people that were close to me said. Yeah. Just take your time. Just pause, leave it for a bit, then come back to it. Yeah. So I was like, you know what? You're right. So I left it for a whole month. I just left it. Wow. And literally just continue doing what I usually do on a day-to-day basis. I come back to it, I was like, oh, wait, I need to do this.
Yeah, I've got this thing still here.
I sit down, then I start editing it. And then it came out better than what I expected it to come out. I think I showed you it. It was the scene in the corridor and everything, and the flashing. That took me a month to kind of just get the basis of it, because that burnout of me just like, I did all of this. I did the pre-production, the storyboarding, now filming it, and all of this.
The lighting, all of that,
and then making sure, like, because I usually tend to, like, I get the footage, I'm going to edit it straight away. That's what made me burn out. Like, I don't want to do it anymore. And then I was just like, you know what? I feel like I'm a bit hypocritical because I just said there is no, like, oh, take a mini break. I took a whole month to complete a 2-minute scene. But it's just the fact that, burnouts are normal, because at the end of the day, we're all human. There will be certain points where we're like,
you can't.
Don't want to do
it. You feel like when a burnout is coming.
You feel it.
Yeah.
It's like, as I wouldn't say it's exactly like how you feel like you're nauseous and stuff. Yeah. It's a complete different feeling, but you feel when you're nauseous. Yeah. Like, okay, something's happening now. Yeah. That's like your body is like, all right, cool.
You need to chill out.
Yeah. So when I was editing the first time, I'm like, I can feel it. Like the tension.
You just don't want to be just doing it. You don't even want to touch the laptop.
Like, I was disgusted by it. Like, no. I want to just go to bed now.
Yeah. So how would you say you then get out of that and get kind of back into it? Because my problem is that also of my burnouts come out when I'm watching too many things and I'm getting so many different ideas, but I'm not doing anything with it. And I'm just like sometimes, like I tell my friend all the time, like I can get burnt out just by watching TikTok. If I'm watching somebody, not like the silly stuff, but like when you're watching somebody that you like and their style and the way that they're doing stuff, and you start to feel a bit guilty. Why am I not making content? Because there's so much content always just pumped down. You're thinking, I'm not making enough as everybody else is. Am I falling behind? Is this enough? Is it, oh, I'm going to pick it up? Well, I need to pick this up. And then the next thing you know, I'm in my spiral again of like, okay, I'm not touching this.
Yeah. You know what it is? I'll give you advice that I've learned to do myself. Take initiative. Whether you feel like you're burnt out, because I feel like end of the day, this industry where we're both kind of leading into, it's very competitive. Because at the end of the day, you can be sleeping and someone can make the most greatest thing of all time while you're sleeping. They're like, oh, I'm slacking. That could have been me. But it's taking initiative and trying to create as much as possible in the time you have. Like even creating stories, just write something down. Because now at least you have something there. And you wake up the next morning. All right, cool. Now I'm gonna go do it.
Yeah, you can build off of it.
Now I'm gonna create something. I'm gonna push something now, no matter what it is. It's literally just taking initiative. And honestly, literally with my films and stuff, I filmed everything. So the past few stuff that I did, I filmed it on this iPhone 14. It was just because sometimes it's just like you need to take. Like, it doesn't even matter about what you have. Some people worry, like, oh, I don't have a camera, I don't have this. I went out and I filmed, I think 3 to 4 short films with just that phone, and then got into film festivals and watched it on the cinema screen. So it's about
off the phone.
Off the phone. Just take initiative with what you have, and then as you're building it, you can improve in your equipment and stuff. But it's not about what you have, it's about what's in here and what you can do with this in here and kind of build like Lego pieces, basically.
Absolutely. And I feel like it's also good that you said that you had your friends and stuff like that you could quickly call upon. And are also kind of in the thing, but on a more personal level, sometimes I guess in the creative world is like, how do you deal with that kind of sometimes self-doubt that creeps in?
That self-doubt, it comes from your own, like, I can say I'm insecure in a sense of like the work that I do sometimes as well, because I know I could always do better. So that I take that insecurity and kind of say, like I said before, take initiative. If I'm insecure about the way this shot was made, and I wish I could have done that. I wish I could have done this. Then go out and do it. Create. If you feel like, okay, what could you do better about it? Just take initiative. I feel like my anxiety of failing has pushed me to create what I do as well now. Other than the grief and everything, it's the anxiety, because some people don't know how to maintain anxiety. Anxiety will never leave you. It comes in many phases of your life. And the anxiety that I have now when it comes to like, I'm not gonna do well and stuff, I take that, I tie it up, and I'm like, all right, cool, we're gonna go on a ride now, we're gonna actually do something about it now. We're gonna I'm not gonna have this little fly giving me these worries and not do anything about it. It's about pushing yourself, and it's hard for some people. I don't want to come off as, if you're depressed, just get out. No, because there are people that I care for that have to slowly take time with what they want to do, and it's just about helping those people as well with that anxiety. So if it's not only me, like people in my class and stuff, I will always try my best to help them with that anxiety of worrying about certain stuff, like assignments and stuff. You don't have to worry, bro.
Yeah, no, of course. I feel like the anxiety is a very interesting one because I guess of our constant access to our phones. And what they say about the whole doom scrolling and all that kind of stuff. You're kind of, I think it was this lady that was on, I don't know if it was on the Diary of a CEO, one of those podcasts. But she was basically like, we're constantly at a low level of anxiety, just of base level, just because of the phones and stuff like that we have. And I feel like I guess something that I still necessarily haven't dealt with, that I was trying to kind of deal with even by taking on the role and doing the show, is just that I guess that feeling of failing in front of everyone. You know, that's, I guess, a big anxiety of mine, or like or somebody just looking at something. I mean, it hasn't happened yet, but just that fear is always in the back of my mind. I feel like for me to fully get over it, I need to fail very, very big and have people just cook me for it. And then I'll be like, okay, you know, it's not that bad.
You know what it is? You should take, I feel like I get this from Kanye. You should take people's judgments of yourself and be like, all right, cool, now watch. Have you watched his documentary? Genius.
Genius.
It's
I watched
so
bits and
inspirational.
pieces, yeah.
The first one of him just going around with these classics, like all falls down.
To the offices and stuff. Yeah.
And they're just all ignoring him.
Yeah.
And they're judging him.
They're not understanding the vision of where he's coming from.
And then look what he's kind of, look what he's kind of lost now. But what he's created, still one of my favorite artists. But what he created after, it's about what's the most important. He said on the lines of, you have to be overconfident with what you do, because if you don't have confidence in yourself, why are you doing it?
Yeah.
Like, you should feel like, you know what, I have the best podcast in the world. You should think like that, you know what? Because then
absolutely,
you will start to fake it till you make it.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna say I will be the greatest director or filmmaker, because there are people that just have already solidified that in history. That will never change. But am I gonna be the greatest in my generation?
Yeah,
possibly.
Absolutely.
And I will. Inshallah, one day I will be able to say that I came out at a good time and say, you know what, I created bangers, basically.
Yeah, definitely.
Films.
Yeah,
that's what I want to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
and have that legacy that you're talking about.
Always be overconfident.
Yeah. And I guess confidence also kind of ties into your own sort of creative style and stuff like that. Do you feel like you've kind of have a creative style? Or do you feel like you're still kind of searching for the I guess the style that you're kind of looking for?
I think I'm still looking for it, in the sense of like
your voice, as they say.
Even with my films themselves, the way I direct some of them as well.
Yeah.
I'm always, you could tell from a sense that when I grow up, I'm gonna realize like, oh, I was really inspired by certain directors, the way I shot like some of the scenes that I have. And it's about what I feel like it kind of merges.
Yeah.
Even with music as well. You people that start music, right, are inspired because of someone else in a sense, right? But then as you keep progressing, you start to blend it into your own thing.
Yeah, it becomes
so I feel like that's really the same thing with filmmaking. But I think it takes more time because it's harder to do, because you have to do pre-production.
Yeah, the entry to
storyboarding and all of that. But I feel like when I get to a certain, like 25 or something, I would hopefully by then have a style of shots. Like if like certain people was to watch my films, they'd be like, oh, this is like Khalid, this is his style, this is his style. So that's what I'm working for.
No, absolutely. I think you said a good point. I think for every creative, is because we read this book called Still Like an Artist, which is basically talking about how everybody had an inspiration, you know, and like nobody comes up with a new color. Every color is like kind of already been established. But all it is like you're picking yellow from someone here, blue from someone there, and then eventually it just becomes your own kind of a niche thing. But I feel like some of the stuff that I've seen on your Instagram, like I feel like you kind of do have a style. I don't know if you've picked up on it, you probably haven't, but like for me, from what I saw, you kind of really like wide shots.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
You like wide shots, and it's a bit, sometimes you use it in a good way, which isn't really conventional. Like sometimes you'll introduce a character or a subject far away, not rather than close up, as like somebody were to show that this is the subject people are talking about. Like the thing, we had somebody in the field of like pink or something, and the subject was like way in the background instead of like the foreground as people would expect it to be, but like still being like, oh, this is the point of view that, you know, I want. And then when you had you know, I've done my research here.
I'm really happy you have.
This podcast, we don't mess about. We don't mess about
really
here.
happy. I'm literally
All
the
right,
biggest smile came on my face after hearing that.
But no, and then when you had the guy as well that was on the merry-go-round or something. What
Oh
those
yeah,
things
like
called?
I think it's around I think I would. I'm
Well,
gonna go roundabout.
yeah, those things there, and then he's on the focal, and like usually some people go for like a proper close up or medium shot. You just decided to stay a bit wide for most of the shots, and I was like, yo, it's an interesting look. I mean, it suits the, I guess in a way you intuitively know what makes sense by doing things that don't make sense. I feel like some people might just have a wide shot for no reason, just because it looks nice, but then not know that, okay, I can still make, you know.
I feel like with certain shots, like I do as well, with certain a lot of directors, it's about taking advantage of what's on screen and the shot you have as well. So in a wide shot, I would have someone basically, like for example, if I was to make a random example, right? Someone's just left someone in the park, like they've just broken up now. How am I going to portray the distance between them as they walk off? I'd have a very wide shot, and all you would see is just like as if they're ants, basically. One's just standing here, and one of them is
separating.
And it's just like, because certain people will just have a shot them doing that. But then you don't take advantage of it. It's just a shot.
It's just a shot.
Yeah,
exactly.
Like you want to do something within the shot that you have. I feel like every shot you have in film is very important, because there are just obviously there's like shots that you just need for extra, like putting in editing and stuff like that. But I feel like with me, I don't really like to do that. Every shot has to make sense.
Yeah, and every shot can, like, I feel like people very much underutilize that kind of thing of where everything that you're saying on the frame can speak to you. Like sometimes you don't need to add extra dialogue to it. Sometimes it can be in silence. But like you were saying, if somebody, that lonely feeling of somebody being like left at the park and it's just a wide shot and you can see just how alone they are, it speaks to people without telling them he feels alone right now. You can just sense, okay, there's nobody around him.
The emptiness of
of it, and then having that beat of like just him standing there taking that in is in itself storytelling. You know what I mean? And I feel like sometimes people get tired of, I guess in writing is there, like if somebody says, and she upset him, that's why he was very upset. It's like, the audience can know he's upset. Like you don't have to.
I learned this from secondary school. Show, not tell.
Show, not tell. Exactly.
So it's like, even if I feel like that's subconsciously in my head. Like I don't say it because I would just come off as a teacher. Like, show, not tell.
Show,
You're
not
doing
tell.
It wrong.
Yeah.
No. It's just like it comes in my head. Certain shots, like the one of him on the roundabout. Right. That was intentional. Like it was a really random shot. Like, we weren't even meant to do that. But the fact that the tripod could fit on that roundabout with him, I was like, cool. Now, how am I gonna make this make sense? Why is he just there? He's in the park already. He's chilling. He's gonna go sit down. So the camera kind of follows him, as if we're on the thing.
We're on the thing with him,
It doesn't have to always make complete sense, but if you feel like you understand what you're watching, it's satisfying as well. I feel like I try to go for shots that either make you uncomfortable, or satisfying. It can't be just. I don't like typical cameras right here.
And then it's just shot here, shot there.
Boom, boom,
talking,
boom.
dialogue there, talking.
I like one takes as well. I feel like I'm gonna do that a lot in my films. I'm gonna have a lot of just, if people are arguing, it's like theater basically. If people are arguing, this camera will follow you in very like beautiful shots. But then because with the argument as well, it happens all at once. It happens.
There's no cutting. Nobody goes mid argument.
As if
and then starts again talking.
Like you want to have this like argument, but this camera's gonna follow you around while you guys argue.
Exactly.
Make it as real as possible. I feel like that's what it is. It depends on what kind of director you are, but with me, I like to use realism with a surreal hint in it. So that there's a film I'm making called Fever Dream, right? There's a scene where he basically they're dancing. There's a character called Harry, who's played by Carol. He's dancing with his girlfriend in this beautiful like sunset is there. They're wearing she's wearing a suit. They're dancing, and we'd have beautiful shots of them just doing it. And it would be like a one kind. It wouldn't say one take, but it was a one take thing for the majority of it. And then, how do you make it make sense? Because it's a film about random things. Even if it's random, you still have to kind of make it make sense. And that's what I try to do with it. And then at the end, they dance a little bit more. They're silhouettes now. And you can't really see them, but they're shadows. She spins him. He spins her around, and he's she stabs him
Yeah.
right in the heart.
Yeah.
Like,
Spoiler.
just
huh?
like that.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Oh,
guys.
okay.
Sorry. But yeah,
Yeah.
I'll slap a trailer on soon
Yeah.
eventually for my own
Yeah.
account. But yeah, it's just the shots that you make are very important.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And I remember I watched one editor time back, and then he was saying that sometimes he just goes back through his shots and and like the films and stuff he's making just with no audio, just to get a visual story of like, if I can't hear it, can I still feel the same level of emotions and understandings and like all of this kind of stuff. And then when you add sound to it, it becomes a whole different layer. But to kind of, I mean, we've had a wonderful discussion here.
Yeah,
our time
has gone quick.
It has gone quick, to be fair. But I wanted to also kind of know what if you were to say your main thing specifically of like what it is that when you're finally done, you know, when like Thanos finally sits on that sunset of his new empire, whatever it is, what is it that you'd like to see out there in front of you when this is all said and done and father time comes for you?
My family, whether my parents obviously will be there or not, my family, and having a house, like a house for my family in general, and just looking at all the kids and stuff, like my wife as well, and just looking at it and as if it's like the end of a film, like you're like, this is it.
Absolutely.
That's what I'm working for.
And what would you like to have? And then you look behind you, you got the wall of accolades. What would you like to have creatively achieved?
I want to, without making it about awards first, I would say inspire people like me, like growing up knowing kids were like, oh, Khalid's work was incredible, and I kind of use certain shots and stuff like that. But if we're talking about awards, I want to try and make sure I get everything as possible, as much as possible. And I've even started my little collection now. Okay. But inshallah, hopefully, I get to, you know.
You got award collections already?
Yeah, I got a decent amount, like a decent amount.
Is that you?
But like youth stuff in it, like it's kids, not kids stuff, but
like but still, that's how it grows, you know. And you did mention a younger yourself. What would you'd say? I mean, I would say advice for young creatives. But then again, you are literally the people that I'm talking about. But I feel like you're very mature for your age, and like I feel like you would be in a position to be able to give advice. So I'll have to bring the age bracket even less for you.
What, like just kids now?
like 13, 14.
So like young teenagers. All right. A piece of advice for that demographic would be, don't consider. Wait, am I gonna mess this up?
Take your time.
Don't consider not having many options in life, because when I was 13 and 14 years old, I never knew what I was going to be. So do as much as you can as possible. So when you get to the age I am at now, you realize, okay, cool, I have something in my hand. Now I'm gonna have to, you know, throw it at the wall.
Okay.
Throw it directly at the wall and, you know, see if it lands. But yeah, make sure you do as much as possible. Yeah, that's it.
Absolutely. Hey. I mean, hey, look, if they understood the advice.
Yeah, I waffled a lot, but you know what? If it works, it works. If people understood it, they understood it. That's how it works.
I mean, absolutely. But Khalid, mate, what a lad.
Oh, cheers, bro.
Honestly, this has been great.
What an incredible host.
Give me a break.
You would realize how awkward I was at first and how chill I am now.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you, bro.
Nah, look, so here, you know what I mean? You're here with family. It's time to relax a little bit. You know what I mean? That's what it is. I feel like when people first come on and like this is hitting them, then they're like, everything, they get a bit closed up a little bit. But like, you know, people are here for you. They want to hear about you, and definitely be supporting, because this is what Inspyre is about. It's about inspiring, I want to say the next generation. That sounds a bit pretentious, but it's about inspiring people and inspiring other creatives that no matter what they're doing and no matter where they're at, that they can always find hope, because there's a whole community around them that are doing the same things. So if you like that, we shall see you guys very, very soon on the next one. Bye. And again, this is Khalid. What's your socials?
Khalid Raffy. That's my name. So I go as Khalid Raffy anywhere.
Absolutely. And we will see you guys in the next one.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Papertrails podcast. If you like this episode, please leave a review, comment, like, and subscribe. And be sure to follow us on all our socials.
Keep moving, keep growing, keep learning. See you at work.